So far, YouTube hasn't slapped an age restriction on my last video, one where I'm in my underwear. Now, there's probably people out there that didn't get the point to that video. Now, this goes back to Wonder Hussy. Wonder Hussy loves to do nude videos. She's got some where she's at a distance, or she'll take her to do a video, but she'll take that YouTube, that triangle, that red, oh, it's a red oval with the white diamond, the YouTube symbol. But anyway, she'll take that and she'll cover her naughty bits just so her videos are not demonetized. I'm putting forward to Wonder Hussy. I'm pretty sure Wonder Hussy is watching at least some of my videos. Putting forward to Wonder Hussy. Now, in some of her Facebook posts about 2 or 3 years ago when I first found her videos, she would tell about being fluent in German, so I put forth that ich verstehe ein bisschen Deutsch. And I said, if Wonder Hussy makes some videos where she's only speaking German, or if her sister speaks French, they could do a collab video where they're both speaking French. I'm thinking the YouTube algorithm might not demonetize that video. That's kind of the point I was trying to make, that European nudity standards are different than here in the U.S. And I'm thinking the YouTube algorithm kind of reflects that, but I may be completely wrong on it. Just that was a point I was trying to make. I'll make 1 or 2 more videos like that. I want to get out with my speedos and get up some of these. When it gets warmer, it was hot early. Our weather, then it cooled down a little bit. Right now it's nice outside. Today's I get up in the 90s, but it's really not very hot for this time of year. But anyway, to get some speedos, hit up some of these splash pads. I want some chick to join me, help me make some local chick around here that's only interested in getting out into the splash pads in either 1 or 2 piece swimsuit, something like that. Now, you could be a younger lady with kiddos, but I don't. An older guy, if I get out there, and because in the summertime when school's out, those splash pads around here, they're all filled with kiddos. If I get out there, now I've got out there fully closed. I've done it maybe twice. I put my camera. All I had to tell I made a couple of these with my cell phone. I don't want to get out and make videos, in my speedos, because the kiddos will think I'm some pervert or something. So I don't want them to think that. But some chick, if I'm there with a lady, a little bit older lady, maybe a younger lady with kiddos, if we're out there together, both in our swimming attire, the kiddos might not think that we're perverts. I don't know. Of course, I'm not inside the mind of a kid. I don't know. But anyway, I've got out there fully clothed a few times with 120 degrees. When you get out, you get all soaking wet at 120 degrees. You here in Arizona sun, you're dry in 5 minutes. So I mean that's no big. I mean now, outside right now, it's probably in the 70s out here. That's Fahrenheit. Celsius. What's that, about 20 some degrees? And I know the Europeans will get upset when it gets to 30 degrees Celsius. I'll tell that joke here in a second, because I think it's funny. But now our peak summertime heat here is 50 degrees Celsius. 50 degrees Celsius is like 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And it does get that hot here. The valley, of course, there's other parts of the Southwest at Death Valley. Now they've, what's that one thermometer out there, Baker, California? Because that's on my bucket list to see that thermometer. I think somebody just recently fixed that. That's according to Wonder Hussy's video. Somebody fixed it. I got a big digital thermometer out there. There was one ranch in Death Valley. The highest recorded temperature, I don't know about the worldwide temperature, but here in Southwest, it was like 136 degrees. It was back in the 1920s or 1930s, something like that. The highest recorded temperature. Now, as we say here in Arizona, it's a dry heat. A very, very famous. It may get hot here, but it's a dry heat. When it's 120, it's probably about 4% humidity. So it's not like Florida or maybe the Gulf Coast. You got the door moving. It's not a ghost though. The wind started kicking up last night, and it's been been breezy. But anyway, yeah, like I said, it's a dry heat now on 30 degrees Celsius. Now there's a joke about some lady. Let's say a couple is engaged in a passionate act, and she's talking about it reaching 30 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I think you see where that's going there. Next thing I'm going to cover is a dream that I had. Let's see, I was going to cover a couple of things here. Well, let me start. Let me cover my dream now. But I think I know the source of this dream. Anyway, I was looking for my pickup, and I just peeked out the window. My pickup is still there, but in the dream, I was looking for my pickup. I was asking people, "Hey, where's my pickup?" And they said, "Oh, your pickup. Somebody has it." I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" They said, "Well, they're fixing it for you. You know, they're doing all the repairs for free." I said, "Oh, okay." You know, I would never allow that. You know, I do my own work. I have since I was a kid. I even before I owned my own vehicle, I was working my parents' stuff. I did that for many years. But anyway, seems like but there was a video. It's a YouTube channel. Trying to remember. Buff's Garage. He's a friend of Pole Barn Garage. See, I don't remember how I first saw the Pole Barn Garage's videos, but anyway, let's see. Buff's Garage. He was helping a lady out with a Subaru. If you search Buff's Garage, you'll find this video because I was watching it yesterday. Anyway, this lady, her Subaru had the valve cover gaskets were leaking. Now, if it was standard inline six or a V6, water cooled cast iron engine, they're on top of the engine and they're not all that hard. Like my pickup, you got to remove a handful of items on the top of the engine and you can get through the valve covers. Now on the Subarus, now I've seen them, but I've never really done any work on a Subaru. They're I know the earlier ones were four-cylinder horizontally opposed air-cooled engines. I think the later ones are aluminum or cast iron, but they're down under a bunch of stuff. They're like I said, they're horizontally opposed engines, and they're a bit trickier. This video they kind of showed how they did the valve cover gaskets. They didn't have any problem. Well, after they did the valve cover gaskets, they had something was making noise between the engine and the automatic transmission. I pulled apart, redid the bolts that hold the flywheel on, and then put the torque converter bolts back in there, and they got rid of the noise. I don't remember what the noise actually was, but they had. They initially thought it might be a broken flex plate. Now, I had a broken flex plate in my pickup. That was because the bolts that hold my transmission, there's bolts that go between the transmission and the engine had got loose, and it got and the transmission. This is about 3 or 4 months ago. It actually, because there was a separation there, and there was a bit of flex, and it made my flex plate flex, and it actually cracked it. I'm pretty sure that's why it did crack. But I put the flex plate on there. Then I had other problems with the transmission. I spent about a month playing with my transmission. But in my dream, I was looking for a pickup, and somebody else was working on it. Let's see. I was going to cover. I'm pretty sure today is the Indy 500. I've always tried to watch that since I was a kid, just because it's a very, very popular. Same thing with Daytona. It's the first NASCAR race of the year. I've looked up because there's not much on the TV on the Indy 500. I think the Coke 600, the NASCAR race, the Coke 600s today. There's a handful of drivers that will try to hit, that will try to drive the NASCAR, the Indy 500. They'll have a helicopter waiting for them. I don't know if they finish Indy. I think they have another driver take over midway through. Then they make their way to you'd want to think the Coke 600 would be in Atlanta, because Atlanta is the home of Coke, but it's actually another city, and I don't remember what it is. You can look all that up if you want. I was on the NASCAR site, and I couldn't find anything on the Coke 600. So it might not be today. It might be next Sunday. I don't know. But anyway, now in the past, they've also done Monaco, which is it's a Formula One. It's a Formula One race. Road course Formula One. And I've thought a couple times, over the years, Now, if somebody were really an ambitious driver, they could, you'd have to have 3 separate race cars. You'd have to have a Learjet or something, some corporate jet that could do Mach 1. You have, you have a car, you start off the day in Monaco. You can probably finish Monaco because there's usually quite a number of hours between between Monaco and then Indy 500. You race Monaco, do whatever you got to do in Monaco. Hit up that Learjet, make your way to Indianapolis, race in the Indy 500, and then make your way to the Coke 600. Now I saw something about the Charlotte Motor Speedway on NASCAR. Is Charlotte where they have the Coke 600? But I didn't see it listed as Coke 600. I don't know. But anyway, I used to follow NASCAR religiously, and I haven't anymore. After I kind of got into making YouTube videos, I said a driver could, a super athlete. You'd have to be a super athlete to do that because that would really be taxing on somebody. You'd have to be 18 years old to do that. I mean, race. And you'd have to be a billionaire to have the three or have a big team. Well, the guys that do the Indy and the Coke 600 will have separate. They'll drive part of it and then have another driver take over. So you could have 3 separate drivers. Starting and then you finish. Either you start or they finish, whatever. But you do this either 3 separate races. There's only got to be a few people that even going to attempt something like that. Last thing I'm going to cover is I'm still waiting for somebody to do another road course. You can either have like a Formula One at Indy style or a NASCAR road course through the streets of Phoenix. You'd have to do it in the spring or the fall. You wouldn't want to do it, in the middle of summertime when it's hot. Like what they do. It's either an Indy race or a Formula One race up there at in the streets of Las Vegas. We should do the same thing here in Phoenix because they did it once, but it was in the summertime, and just the wrong time in this part of the world for for a race through the streets of Phoenix. Let me get back to my the video I posted yesterday. Now, wonder how she could do in French or in German. Now, if she did Spanish, now Spanish is a European language. It is spoken in Spain. It's also spoken here in the Southwest U.S. It's pretty popular. It's like our second U.S.'s second official language. Well, it's not actually an official language, but enough people here in the U.S. speak Spanish that it is our second language, along with French, and there's a handful of First Citizen languages, a lot of Navajo and Apache and Hopi that have their own languages, but Spanish. But I wonder how she does it in Spanish. Now, yo hablo español, yo hablo poquito español, but the people at YouTube might think, well, that's just Spanish from the streets of Phoenix and not Spanish from Spain. So they may age restrict and demonetize their Spanish videos. It's going to have to be in German or French. Of course, for French, they might think, well, so maybe she's from Montreal, and Montreal's kind of prudish on nudity. Just my thoughts. Let's see. Did I cover everything? Well, for German, if you really look at it, for being a native English speaker, there's actually a fair chunk of German that's not that far off from English. So it's not as hard to learn as one might think. You just start listening to speakers speak it, and you kind of pick it up. The big chunk of German is close enough to English that it's not that hard to pick up. SC is going to cover one more thing here. I don't remember what it was. I hear the sirens in the background. They're going 24/7 anymore. Is that a fire truck or an ambulance or something? Of course, I sleep with the window open in the summertime. It's cool. It's cooler that way. Okay. We could cover. Hey, if Wonder Leslie wants to do a collab video with me where we're both naked, yeah, we can pick some European language and maybe fool the prudish censors